The watchers in the dark, the grand chamber of the Galactic Assembly glittered with bioluminescent light, casting prismatic shadows across the faces of the 24 representatives seated around the curved table. Above them, a holographic display showed a small blue-green planet, third from an unremarkable yellow star in the spiral arm of a common galaxy. Earth, announced High Counselor Vexmara, her 4 slender arms gesturing dismissively at the projection. Her crystalline exoskeleton caught the light as she moved, sending rainbow refractions dancing across the chamber walls. Our surveillance indicates they're still burning hydrocarbons for energy and haven't even established a permanent colony on their own moon. Soft laughter rippled through the chamber, a cacophony of clicks, rumbles, and high-pitched trills from the diverse species present. They wage war over arbitrary territorial divisions, added Krell-Nor, the reptilian delegate from the Saurian collective. His scaled tail twitched with amusement. They've split their species into nearly 200 competing governance structures. Their most advanced propulsion systems still rely on chemical rockets, said Zith, a gaseous entity contained within an articulated mechanical frame. At their current rate of development, they won't achieve viable interstellar travel for at least another century. In the far corner of the chamber, a smaller figure remained quiet. Linta, junior observer from the aquatic Mer Dominion, had been studying Earth transmissions for the past 20 orbital cycles. Something about the humans troubled her, though she couldn't quite identify what. They were indeed primitive by assembly standards, barely 4,000 years into their civilizational development, yet their rate of technological advancement in just the past century had been unusual. Perhaps we should reconsider the Classification 7 status, Linta finally spoke, her voice soft but clear through the translator. Their technological growth curve doesn't match typical development patterns. High Counselor Vexmara's faceted eyes turned toward Linta, narrowing slightly. Observer Linta, the humans still believe they are alone in the universe. They have yet to detect even our most basic monitoring stations in their outer solar system. The Assessment Committee has already approved resource extraction protocol for their asteroid belt. Classification 7 stands. More laughter followed, and the discussion moved on to other matters as the projection of Earth continued its slow rotation above them. Unknown to the Assembly, 2,000 meters beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Commander Ilara Voss watched the entire exchange on a high-definition screen, her expression impassive as the alien beings mocked her planet and species. "They're still using the same outdated surveillance network," said Dr. Marcus Chen, Earth Defense Force's head of signals intelligence. "They have no idea we've been intercepting and decoding their transmissions for the past 15 years. Commander Voss nodded, her gray eyes fixed on the screen. At 43, she had spent half her life in the classified space program that officially didn't exist. "And our counter-surveillance measures?" "Holding perfectly," replied Technical Director Imani Okafor, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface that would have shocked the Assembly representatives had they seen it. "As far as they can detect, we're still launching the same outdated rockets and satellites. All advanced launches are conducted during their sensor blind spots, and our stealth technology masks everything else." Voss stood, straightening her midnight blue uniform adorned with the insignia of Earth's Unified Defense Force, an organization unknown to the general public and certainly to the Galactic Assembly. "They're planning to start mining operations in our asteroid belt without even bothering to ask permission. Typical colonial mentality." "How do you want to proceed, Commander?" asked Admiral James Harrington, the weathered veteran who had overseen the construction of Earth's first stealth fleet. Commander Voss walked to the central holographic display, which showed the positions of Earth's hidden assets throughout the solar system. 50 advanced warships cloaked and stationed in strategic positions, manufacturing facilities buried beneath the lunar surface, research outposts hidden within the clouds of Venus, mining operations concealed within the rings of Saturn. "We continue as planned," she said firmly. "They believe we're primitive because that's what we've allowed them to see. The Assembly's arrogance is our greatest advantage." For nearly 2 decades, Earth had maintained an elaborate facade. After detecting the first alien surveillance satellites, A coalition of Earth's most advanced nations had made an unprecedented decision. Rather than announcing the discovery to the world, they would keep it secret and use it to their advantage. Public space programs would continue their slow, methodical advancement using outdated technology, all for show. Meanwhile, a hidden program would leverage the intercepted alien communications to develop technologies that would put humanity on equal footing with the galactic powers. The first assembly expedition fleet will enter our system in approximately 6 months, said Strategic Director Alejandro Reyes, pointing to the intelligence reports. 5 vessels, minimal weaponry. They're not expecting any resistance. Perfect, Commander Voss replied. That's when we'll finally introduce ourselves properly. In the research wing of the facility, Dr. Sophia Kim supervised the final testing of the quantum displacement drive, a propulsion system that even the assembly's most advanced ships couldn't match. Based on principles gleaned from intercepted assembly communications and enhanced by human innovation, the drives would give Earth's fleet unprecedented maneuverability. The beauty of it, Dr. Kim explained to her team, is that they never bothered to encrypt their technical communications. They're so convinced of our primitive status that they've transmitted detailed engineering specifications right past our planet for years. Across the solar system, humanity prepared in silence. On Mars, General Victor Okonkwo oversaw the final construction phases of the flagship Defiance, a vessel that incorporated the best of human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien technology. Its hull was composed of metamaterials that absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them. Its weapon systems combined assembly energy principles with human military doctrine. Most importantly, it represented something the assembly had never anticipated, a species that learned from the shadows that used its perceived weakness as a shield while building strength. They laugh at us now, General Okonkwo said as he watched the Defiance undergo its final systems check. Let them laugh. The moment of revelation will be all the sweeter. In orbit around Jupiter, Commander Riya Patel piloted a stealth shuttle between hidden human outposts. The massive gas giant had become humanity's primary training ground, its intense radiation and gravitational complexity providing perfect cover for military exercises. Her squadron had spent the past 3 years preparing for potential combat with assembly vessels, studying their tactics, their weaknesses, their tendencies. They think we're divided, she told her crew. They see our nations and borders and assume we're incapable of unification. They don't understand that humans have always been strongest when faced with an external threat. The truth was that Earth had achieved something unprecedented in its history, genuine global cooperation, driven by the knowledge that they were not alone, and that the cosmic neighborhood viewed them as little more than a resource to be exploited. Old rivalries hadn't disappeared, but they had been set aside in favor of species survival. As the months passed, and the assembly expedition drew closer, Commander Voss gathered Earth's defense leadership for the final briefing. In 6 weeks they will cross Neptune's orbit, she said, addressing the room of military leaders, scientists, and political representatives. 1 week after that, they will begin establishing mining operations in our asteroid belt. That's when we reveal ourselves. What if they respond with hostility? Asked one of the political representatives. Admiral Harrington stepped forward. Our intelligence indicates their expeditionary fleet isn't equipped for major combat operations. They're expecting to find a primitive world with no significant space presence. The shock alone should prevent immediate hostile action. And if they call for reinforcements? Pressed another representative. By then we'll have already opened diplomatic channels, Commander Voss replied. We're not looking for a fight. We're looking for respect, equal standing. The assembly operates on power dynamics. We need to demonstrate that Earth is not a world to be exploited, but a power to be reckoned with. As the meeting concluded, Commander Voss remained in the command center, watching the holographic display of their solar system. The home humanity had evolved in, the cradle of their civilization, and soon, the stage for their emergence onto the galactic scene. They think we're still taking our first steps, she said quietly to Dr. Chen, who had stayed behind. But we've been walking for Quite some time now. They just haven't been paying attention. Outside, beneath the Colorado night sky, ordinary citizens went about their lives, unaware that in orbit above them, invisible to conventional tracking, Earth's Sentinel satellites monitored the approaching assembly vessels. Unaware that humanity stood on the precipice of a new era. Unaware that soon, the laughter of distant aliens would fade into stunned silence. Commander Voss looked up through the reinforced skylight at the stars above. "They've had thousands of years to prepare for this moment," she said. "We've had less than 2 decades. Let's see who's learned more in that time." In the depths of space, the assembly expedition fleet accelerated toward Earth, their commanders confident in an easy, routine mission. They had no idea they were heading toward the most significant miscalculation in the assembly's 10,000-year history. The deception-unveiled expedition commander Xanthar stood on the bridge of the assembly vessel Righteous Discovery, his 4 eyes scanning the holographic display of the Sol system. His species, the Valkyrie, prided themselves on efficiency and precision, qualities that had earned them leadership positions throughout the assembly's exploratory divisions. "Primitive communications detected," announced the sensor officer, a bioluminescent drav whose tentacles operated multiple interfaces simultaneously. "Standard radio broadcasts, satellite telemetry consistent with early space development." Xanthar nodded, mandibles clicking lightly in satisfaction. "As expected. Maintain course to the asteroid belt. Begin cataloging resource-rich targets for extraction." The 5-ship expedition had traveled for nearly a standard cycle to reach this unremarkable system. To Xanthar, it was a routine mission. Identify valuable resources, establish extraction facilities, and depart. The primitive species on the 3rd planet would never even know they were there. Assembly protocols didn't require notification or permission from Classification 7 civilizations. "Commander," called the communications officer, "I'm detecting unusual signal patterns from the vicinity of the 4th planet." Xanthar turned, his exoskeleton shifting hues slightly in irritation. "Explain." "It's gone now." But for a moment, there was a burst of encrypted data using carrier wave technology beyond human capability. Analysis? Inconclusive. Perhaps instrument error. Xanthar considered this. Run a level 3 diagnostic on the sensor array. We can't have equipment malfunctions this far from maintenance facilities. What Xanthar couldn't know was that the equipment malfunction was actually a deliberate signal from one of Earth's stealth platforms orbiting Mars, confirming the assembly fleet's approach vector to Earth Defense Command. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Alara Voss received the confirmation and activated the fleet-wide alert. "They've crossed the Mars orbital threshold. All ships prepare for revelation protocol. This is not a drill." Across the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet powered up their primary systems. Stealth fields remained active, but weapons systems, shields, and propulsion were brought to operational status. Aboard the Defiance, Captain Sophia Reyes addressed her crew. "For 15 years we've trained for this moment. We are about to become the first humans to make official contact with an alien species. Remember your training, remember your duty. We represent not just our nations but our entire species." Throughout the ship, crew members monitored systems that combined human ingenuity with technology derived from years of studying assembly transmissions. The quantum displacement drive hummed with potential energy, ready to propel the massive vessel at speeds the assembly believed impossible for humans. In the asteroid belt, the assembly fleet spread out, beginning their survey operations. Mining drones were deployed, automated systems scanning the mineral composition of selected asteroids. "Commander Xanthar," called the sensor officer suddenly, voice pitched higher in alarm. Multiple contacts appearing throughout the system. "What?" Xanthar moved quickly to the sensor station. "Explain immediately." "Vessels, Commander, large vessels. They're everywhere, appearing from behind moons, from the shadow of the 4th planet, from within the asteroid belt itself. I count 40, no, 50 distinct signatures." "Impossible," Xanthar hissed. "This system has no advanced space presence. Run another diagnostic." The Readings are accurate, Commander, insisted the officer. And they're moving to surround us. On the main view screen, the impossible became visible. Sleek, dark vessels with lines that suggested both function and aesthetics, clearly not the work of a primitive species. They moved with precision, their formation suggesting military discipline and tactical awareness. "Open communications," ordered Xanthar, his voice tight with tension. "All frequencies." Before his communications officer could comply, every screen on the bridge lit up with the image of a human female in a dark uniform adorned with silver insignia. Her expression was stern, but composed. "Assembly Expedition Fleet, this is Commander Ilara Voss of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered sovereign Earth space without authorization or diplomatic clearance. Your mining operations in our asteroid belt constitute a violation of our territorial sovereignty. You will power down all extraction equipment immediately and prepare to receive a diplomatic delegation." Stunned silence fell across the assembly bridge. Xanthar stared at the human on the screen, incomprehension giving way to disbelief. This is impossible," he finally managed. "Your species is Classification 7. You don't have this technology." Commander Voss's expression remained unchanged. "Your classification system is based on incomplete information, Commander. Earth has been aware of the Assembly's presence for quite some time. We chose to observe rather than reveal ourselves prematurely." "You claim to have detected our surveillance?" Xanthar's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. "No Classification 7 species has the capability to. Your surveillance satellites use quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication," Voss interrupted. "They're powered by helium-3 fusion reactors with an operational lifespan of approximately 70 Earth years. They transmit on oscillating frequencies to avoid detection. We identified and compromised them 16 years ago." Each accurate detail sent ripples of shock through the assembly crew. This was not merely impossible, it was paradigm shifting. If humans had been monitoring the Assembly's monitoring, how? Demanded Xanthar. "Human ingenuity," replied Voss simply. "Something your Assembly has clearly underestimated. Now, to demonstrate our good faith, we have not disabled your mining drones yet, but they will remain inactive until diplomatic protocols have been established." With a gesture from Commander Voss, the screens on the assembly vessel displayed a new image. The Earth fleet in formation. The vessels varied in design, but all shared an unmistakable technological sophistication. "In 1 hour, a diplomatic shuttle will dock with your command vessel," Voss continued. "I will personally lead the Earth delegation. I suggest you use this time to inform your superiors of the adjustment needed to Earth's classification status." The transmission ended, leaving the assembly bridge in stunned silence. "Contact the High Council immediately," Xanthar ordered, his voice hollow with shock. In the communications bay of his vessel, Xanthar waited for the quantum entanglement link to establish a connection with the Galactic Assembly headquarters. When High Counselor Veximara's image appeared, he could barely maintain protocol. "Expedition reports severe intelligence failure," he began without preamble. "Human civilization has advanced far beyond Classification 7. They possess a fleet of at least 50 military-grade vessels. They have been intercepting our communications for years. They have demanded diplomatic contact and cessation of mining operations." Veximara's crystalline features registered shock, an unusual expression for her species. "Verify your report, Commander. This cannot be accurate." "I have visual confirmation," Xanthar insisted, transmitting the images of Earth's fleet. "They have surrounded our expedition. Their technology appears comparable to Tier 3, possibly higher. They have been deliberately concealing their advancement." The implications spread through the Assembly communication network like wildfire. Emergency sessions were called. Defense fleets were alerted. The peaceful, dismissible Earth had suddenly become a strategic unknown, perhaps even a threat. In Earth orbit, Commander Voss prepared for humanity's first official diplomatic contact with an alien civilization. Her shuttle, a sleek craft designed to showcase human engineering excellence without appearing overtly militaristic, departed from the Defiance with a small delegation of Earth's finest. Dr. Marcus Chen, expert in xenolinguistics, Ambassador Leila Nkosi, Earth's chosen diplomatic representative, and Major Victor Okonkwo, military liaison. Remember, Voss told her team as they approached the assembly vessel, we're not seeking conflict. We're establishing boundaries. Earth will not be classified, categorized, or colonized. We enter the galactic community as equals, or not at all. The shuttle docked with a precision that further contradicted the assembly's assessment of human capabilities. As the airlock cycled, Commander Voss straightened her uniform and prepared to step into history. The assembly reception committee awaited them, Xanthar at the center, flanked by his senior officers. Their body language, even across species, barriers betrayed their unease. Commander Xanthar, Voss said, stepping forward with measured confidence, thank you for receiving us. I bring greetings from the United Nations of Earth. Xanthar's four eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of cognitive processing in his species. Your appearance here defies all assembly intelligence. Explain how Earth has advanced so rapidly without detection. Ambassador Nkosi stepped forward. Perhaps it would be more accurate to say that we advanced beneath your notice, Commander. The assembly made assumptions about our capabilities and never questioned them. We found it advantageous to let those assumptions stand until we were ready for this meeting. Inside the assembly vessel's conference chamber, designed for diplomatic encounters with far more advanced civilizations than Earth was supposed to be, the human delegation displayed a comprehensive understanding of assembly protocols, language, and customs, knowledge that should have been impossible for them to possess. We intercept approximately 78% of all assembly communications passing through our system, Dr. Chen explained matter-of-factly to the stunned assembly officers. Your encryption was complex but not insurmountable. We've been learning about you for quite some time. While you were laughing at our rocket launches, added Major Okonkwo, gesturing to a holographic display he had brought, we were building these. The display showed Earth's advanced manufacturing facilities on the far side of the moon and within the clouds of Venus, completely hidden from conventional observation. As the initial shock wore off, Xanthar attempted to regain diplomatic ground. The assembly has procedures for emerging civilizations. There are protocols, assessment periods. We are not emerging, Commander, Voss interrupted firmly. We have emerged. The only question is whether the assembly recognizes this reality or continues to operate under outdated assumptions. On screens throughout the vessel, feeds from Earth's fleet demonstrated capabilities that shocked the assembly officers. Quantum, communication, advanced propulsion, defensive systems that could easily neutralize the expedition's weapons. The Assembly Council will need to convene. Xanthar finally conceded. This situation is unprecedented. Of course, nodded Ambassador Nkosi. We anticipated this. Meanwhile, we have prepared a preliminary diplomatic framework. She presented a data crystal of human manufacture, but compatible with assembly systems, another demonstration of Earth's comprehension of alien technology. As the meeting continued, the power dynamic shifted perceptibly. What had begun as an exploitative mining expedition had transformed into a first contact scenario with a technologically advanced civilization that had been watching, learning, and preparing for this moment. Throughout the solar system, Earth's fleet maintained its position, a silent reminder of humanity's unexpected capabilities. The laughter that had once echoed through the assembly chamber had been replaced by urgent strategic assessments and diplomatic scrambling. Earth had revealed itself at last, not as the primitive world the assembly had dismissed, but as a formidable, new player on the galactic stage. A new balance of power, the Assembly Council chamber had never been convened with such urgency. Representatives from all 24 member species gathered in emergency session, their usual ceremonial entrances abandoned in favor of efficiency. Above the central table, holographic displays showed Earth's fleet, the diplomatic exchange, and the technical specifications that human sensors had somehow managed to capture of assembly vessels. This constitutes the most significant intelligence failure in assembly history, declared Zith, the gaseous entity's mechanical frame vibrating with agitation. A Classification 7 civilization does not develop fleet capability without detection. It is without precedent. Yet it has happened, said High Counselor Vex Mara, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated severe stress. The humans have not only developed advanced technology but have specifically designed it to evade our surveillance. They have been reading our transmissions, studying our capabilities, and preparing for this moment, all while maintaining the facade of a primitive society. In the corner, Lin Ta, the junior observer who had questioned Earth's classification months earlier, received vindication she took no pleasure in. The question now, she said softly, is not how this happened, but how we respond. The council's debate grew heated. Some representatives argued for immediate military response, show of overwhelming force to demonstrate the Assembly's supremacy. Others advocated for diplomatic caution, noting that the humans had not taken hostile action despite clearly possessing the capability. They could have destroyed the expedition fleet, noted Krell Nor of the Saurian Collective. Instead, they initiated diplomatic contact. This suggests they desire peaceful relations, albeit on their terms, not ours. We cannot allow an unproven species to dictate terms to the Assembly, countered Vex Mara. 10,000 years of galactic stability are at stake. After hours of debate, the Council reached a decision. A larger Assembly fleet would be dispatched to the Sol system, not for immediate military action but as a show of force during continued negotiations. 20 vessels, including 5 Dreadnought-class ships, would make the journey. This will remind the humans of the true scope of Assembly power, Vex Mara declared. They may have surprised us, but they cannot match our full strength. When news of the approaching reinforcements reached Earth, Commander Alara Voss convened her own council of military and diplomatic leaders. They're sending 20 ships, including 5 dreadnoughts, she informed the gathered leadership. Arrival estimated in 14 days. A show of force, noted Admiral Harrington. They're trying to intimidate us back into a subordinate position. Ambassador Nkosi studied the intelligence reports. They're still operating under the assumption that what they've seen represents the totality of Earth's capabilities. An assumption we can use, said Commander Voss, turning to Dr. Sophia Kim. Is the Aegis system ready? Dr. Kim nodded. Full, operational capability achieved last week. All tests successful. The Aegis system represented humanity's most ambitious technological achievement, a planetary defense network that could generate a quantum field around the entire Earth, rendering conventional weapons useless against the planet. It had been developed using principles gleaned from Assembly theoretical physics transmissions, but taken in directions their scientists had never explored. We need to be careful, cautioned Political Director Elena Fernandez. We don't want to provoke a full-scale conflict. The Assembly still vastly outnumbers us across the galaxy. Agreed, said Commander Voss, which is why we need to demonstrate not just military capability, but technological innovation. We need to show them that humanity offers something unique, something valuable enough that cooperation becomes more attractive than subjugation. For the next 2 weeks, Earth prepared. The civilian population remained unaware of the approaching Assembly fleet, the revelation of alien contact being gradually introduced through carefully managed information releases. Meanwhile, the hidden infrastructure that had been building for 15 years shifted from development to deployment. In lunar orbit, the Advanced Research Station Prometheus finalized testing on the quantum communication network that would allow instantaneous transmission across distances that even Assembly technology required hours to span. On Venus, fabrication facilities completed the final components of the Aegis system. Throughout the asteroid belt, automated mining platforms, far more efficient than their Assembly counterparts, accelerated production of critical materials. When the Assembly reinforcement fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system, they were greeted by a message from Commander Voss. Assembly fleet, this is Earth Defense Command. We recognize your approach as a diplomatic escort rather than a hostile action. We extend welcome and offer navigation coordinates for a designated meeting area in the orbit of Jupiter. Earth representatives will meet you there." The measured, confident tone confused the Assembly Fleet Commander, Grand Admiral Genvor. He had expected either panic or hostility from the humans, not this calm acceptance. "Proceed with caution," he ordered his fleet. "Maintain combat readiness but take no aggressive action." At the designated coordinates near Jupiter, the Assembly Fleet found a single Earth vessel waiting. The Defiance, Commander Voss's flagship. Its sleek design and obvious technological sophistication once again contradicted everything the Assembly had believed about human capabilities. Grand Admiral Genvor established communication. "Earth vessel, this is Grand Admiral Genvor of the Galactic Assembly. I am authorized to continue diplomatic discussions regarding Earth status within galactic civilization." Commander Voss appeared on the view screen, her expression composed. "Grand Admiral, welcome to the Sol system. I appreciate the Assembly's prompt response to our initial contact. Before we proceed with diplomatic discussions, I believe a demonstration is in order." Without warning, a brilliant blue energy pulse expanded from Earth, visible even at Jupiter's distance. It swept through the solar system at impossible speed, passing through the Assembly Fleet harmlessly before dissipating at the system's edge. "What was that?" demanded Genvor, alarmed but trying not to show it. "The activation of Earth's Aegis defense system," replied Voss calmly. "A non-invasive demonstration. Had it been configured defensively, your fleet's weapon systems would now be inoperative. Had it been configured offensively..." She left the implication hanging. "Impossible," said one of Genvor's officers. "No Classification 7 civilization could develop quantum field technology of that magnitude." "As we've already established," said Voss, "your classification system requires updating. Now, shall we discuss more productive matters? Earth is prepared to share certain technological innovations with the Assembly, innovations your scientists might find intriguing." The diplomatic dance that followed lasted for weeks. On the Assembly Fleet's command ship, representatives from Earth demonstrated technologies that, while derived from Assembly principles, had been developed in directions their scientists had never explored. Quantum entanglement communication, systems that required a fraction of the power, propulsion technology that achieved greater efficiency, medical applications that even the advanced Assembly species found revolutionary. "How?" asked Grand Admiral Genvor during one such demonstration. "How did humans advance so quickly, and in directions our scientists never considered?" Dr. Marcus Chen, who was presenting a new approach to quantum computing, smiled slightly. "Necessity and diversity, Admiral. Earth has thousands of cultures, each with different ways of thinking. When we united against a common challenge, surviving in a galaxy where we were considered irrelevant, we brought those diverse perspectives to bear on problems your civilization has approached from only one direction for millennia. On Earth, the Planetary Council, a new governing body formed to represent humanity in galactic affairs, debated the terms under which Earth would engage with the wider galaxy. "We will not accept Classification 7 status," Ambassador Nkosi stated firmly in her communication with the Assembly Council. "Earth enters the galactic community as a sovereign power, or not at all." "Your civilization is barely 4,000 years old," protested High Counselor Vex Mara. "The youngest current Assembly member is over 20,000 years into its development. Yet we have demonstrated technologies beyond even your most advanced members," countered Nkosi. "Age is not the only measure of advancement." The Assembly's internal politics had been thrown into chaos by the human revelation. Factions formed, those who saw humanity as a threat to be contained, those who recognized potential in alliance, and those who simply could not reconcile Earth's advancement with their understanding of civilizational development. Finally, after months of negotiation, a landmark agreement was reached. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign power, not a member of the Assembly, but an independent ally with full diplomatic recognition. Earth ships would have access to designated Assembly trade routes and facilities. In exchange, humanity would share specific technological innovations that had impressed even the most advanced Assembly scientists. "A new era begins today," announced Commander Alara Voss standing before the United Nations General Assembly, the first public acknowledgement of everything that had been happening in secret. For 15 years, a select group of Earth's finest minds and bravest personnel have been preparing for this moment. Today, humanity officially joins the galactic community. Across Earth, people watched in awe as the truth was finally revealed. Footage of assembly vessels, recorded messages from alien representatives, demonstrations of technologies that had been developed in secret, all presented with careful consideration to prevent panic or chaos. In orbit above Earth, the Defiance hosted a historic meeting. Representatives from all 24 assembly species gathered with Earth's leadership to formalize the new relationship. The chamber that had once echoed with dismissive laughter now witnessed something unprecedented. A young species taking its place among the stars not through conquest or subjugation, but through intelligence, foresight, and strategic patience. "You have surprised us," admitted High Counselor Vex Mara to Commander Voss during the ceremony. "In 10,000 years, no species has entered galactic society in quite this manner." "Humanity has always excelled at the unexpected," replied Voss, with a slight smile. "It would be wise for the Assembly to remember that." As the formal proceedings concluded, Commander Voss stood at the observation deck of the Defiance, looking down at the blue planet that had nurtured her species. Beside her stood Linta, the junior observer who had first questioned Earth classification. "You knew, didn't you?" asked Voss. "You suspected we were more than we appeared." Linta's bioluminescent pattern shifted, and what Voss had learned was an expression of thoughtful agreement. "I noticed patterns in your development that didn't match our models, small inconsistencies, a rate of adaptation that seemed unusual." "Your models didn't account for human determination," said Voss softly. "When we discovered we weren't alone, that advanced civilizations existed who viewed us as primitive and exploitable, we didn't panic. We didn't resign ourselves to a subordinate role. We studied, we learned, we prepared. And now?" asked Linta. "What will humanity do with its place among the stars?" Commander Voss watched as Earth rotated below, its lights twinkling against the darkness of the night side. "Explore, discover, connect. The same things we've always done, but now on a galactic scale. And perhaps—" She turned to look at the assembly representatives mingling with human diplomats across the chamber. "Perhaps we'll help an ancient institution remember how to see the universe with fresh eyes." Throughout the solar system, Earth's fleet maintained its vigilance, no longer hidden but proudly visible, a reminder that humanity had claimed its place among the stars not through conquest, but through intelligence, patience, and the stubborn refusal to accept limitations imposed by others. The laughter had stopped. The respect had begun.